Picture this. It's the early 1800s. The American frontier is a wild, untamed place of dusty roads, unexplored mountains, and rugged men chasing fortune. This is the world where one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries was born. In the year 1820, a stranger named Thomas J. Beale rode into Lynchburg, Virginia. He was a man of few words, never boasting or talking much about his past, but there was something about him. The locals noticed he carried himself with an air of confidence, like someone who had stared danger in the face and walked away. He seemed to have seen the wilder parts of the country, the places most people only heard about in stories. Beale didn't linger in Lynchburg for long. After just a few weeks, he vanished back into the frontier. But when he returned months later, something had changed. This time, he had money, a lot of it. He paid for everything in gold and silver, and whispers started to spread through the town. People speculated he'd been out west, somewhere deep in the Rocky Mountains, perhaps prospecting for gold. But Beale never confirmed a thing, keeping his secrets locked away. Then, before leaving Lynchburg for what would be the very last time, he did something that would echo through history. He approached a local innkeeper he trusted, a man named Robert Morris, and handed him a heavy sealed iron box. His instructions were simple and chilling. "If I do not return in 10 years, he said, you may open this box." And with that, Thomas J. Beale rode off and disappeared from the face of the earth forever. 10 years came and went. No sign of Beale. Morris, being an honorable man, waited even longer. 20 years passed. Still nothing. Finally, in 1845, 23 years after Beale left it with him, Robert Morris decided it was time. He pried open the heavy iron box. Inside, he didn't find gold or jewels. Instead, he found a letter and 3 strange sheets of paper. These papers weren't covered in words, but in numbers. Hundreds and hundreds of them, arranged in neat rows. At first glance, it looked like complete gibberish. 115, 18, 73, 200, 324, 19, 106, 811. Row after row of what seemed to be random digits. But they weren't random at all. They were a code. 3 intricately encrypted messages left behind by Beale himself. The letter found inside the box explained the incredible story. It claimed that Beale and a party of about 30 other adventurers had stumbled upon a massive discovery while hunting buffalo in the Rocky Mountains somewhere in modern-day Colorado or New Mexico. They found a mine overflowing with gold and silver. For over a year and a half, they worked this secret mine, amassing a staggering fortune. Fearing it would be stolen if they tried to transport it all at once, they made a bold decision. They would move the treasure, piece by piece, to a secret, secure location back east. They chose a spot they thought no one would ever find, a hidden vault buried 6 feet underground in Bedford County, Virginia. The 3 coded papers, now famously known as the Beale ciphers, held the key to everything. Each cipher contained a different piece of the puzzle. The first paper, cipher number 1, was said to describe the exact location of the treasure vault. Cipher number 2 detailed the contents of the treasure and inventory of the gold, silver, and jewels buried in the ground. And cipher number 3 contained the names of the 30 men in Beale's party, along with their next of kin, who were meant to inherit this vast fortune. Beale's letter explained that a key to deciphering the messages would be sent to Morris's by another friend, but that key never arrived. For decades, the papers remained an unsolvable enigma. just a collection of meaningless numbers. Morris has spent the next 20 years of his life trying to crack the codes, but he failed. Before he died, he passed the box and its mysterious contents to a friend. This friend, who remains anonymous but published the story in an 1885 pamphlet, also spent years obsessed with the ciphers. And then he had a breakthrough. He made a crucial discovery about one of the ciphers. He noticed a pattern and guessed that the key might be a famous text that everyone would have access to. He tried several documents, and finally he found it. The key to the second cipher was the American Declaration of Independence. Here's how it worked. Each number in the cipher corresponded to a word in the Declaration. For example, the number 115 was the 115th word in the text. The number 18 was the 18th word, and so on. You'd take the first letter of each of those words to spell out the message. When decoded, cipher number 2 revealed an astonishing description of the treasure. It read, in part, "I have deposited in the county of Bedford, about 4 miles from Beaufort, in an excavation or vault, 6 feet below the surface of the ground, the following articles. The first deposit consisted of 1,014 pounds of gold. The second deposit was made and consisted of 1,907 pounds of silver. Also jewels obtained in St. Louis in exchange for silver to save transportation." It went on to list the total value, which by today's standards would be worth tens of millions, possibly even over $100 million. The successful decoding of Cipher 2 ignited a firestorm of excitement. It proved the system worked. The treasure was real. But it also created an immense frustration that continues to this day. Because the most important cipher, cipher number 1, the one that gives the precise location, has never been solved. Neither has cipher number 3, the list of names. The key to the second cipher was the Declaration of Independence. But what are the keys to the other two? Treasure hunters and cryptographers have tried everything: the U.S. Constitution, the Bible, Shakespeare's plays, obscure legal documents, even Beale's own letters. Nothing has worked. The codes remain stubbornly locked. Naturally, the partial reveal of the treasure sent people into a frenzy. From the moment the pamphlet was published in 1885, treasure hunters have descended upon the quiet hills of Bedford County, Virginia, armed with shovels, maps, and an unshakable belief in the legend. Thousands have scoured the landscape. They've dug up fields, searched forests, explored caves, and excavated farmland. Some have even used dynamite, convinced they were just one blast away from fortune. Over the years, this has caused a lot of problems, with many getting arrested for trespassing and causing damage to private property. Despite over a century of searching, not a single piece of gold, not 1 ounce of silver, has ever been found. There's no trace of the underground vault, no empty hole where it might have been. There is nothing but the enduring legend. This lack of evidence has led many to question the entire story. Is the Beale treasure even real? Skeptics argue that the whole thing could be an elaborate hoax. The timing is suspicious. The pamphlet detailing the story was published in 1885 and sold for 50 cents a copy. Some believe its anonymous author simply invented the tale of Beale and his treasure to sell pamphlets and make a quick buck. They point out that finding a historical record of a Thomas J. Beale from that period who fits the description is incredibly difficult. While some records of men with that name exist, none can be definitively linked to the events in the legend. The story has all the elements of a perfect 19th century adventure novel, which makes it feel a bit too good to be true. But on the other hand, the believers have some compelling arguments. They ask, if it was just a hoax to sell a 50-cent pamphlet, why create such a complex and brilliant set of ciphers? The second cipher, the one that was solved, is undeniably real and incredibly clever for its time. And why would a hoaxer create two other ciphers that are seemingly unsolvable? If the goal was to create a solvable puzzle for entertainment, you'd think the author would have made all three crackable. The fact that two remain unbroken gives the story a powerful air of authenticity. Professional cryptographers from the NSA and FB, I have even examined the ciphers, and while many believe they're a hoax, no one has ever been able to prove it. The mathematical structure of the ciphers is complex, and they don't show the typical signs of being a random jumble of numbers. And so the mystery endures. The Beale treasure exists in a fascinating gray area between history and folklore. Was Thomas J. Beale a real adventurer who buried a fortune in the Virginia hills? Or was he a fictional character in one of the most successful hoaxes of all time? Nearly 200 years later, we are no closer to the answer. The hills of Bedford County keep their secrets, and two sheets of paper covered in numbers continue to taunt and tantalize anyone who dreams of lost gold. The legend of the Beale treasure is a powerful reminder that some mysteries may never be solved, and that the greatest treasure might just be the thrill of the hunt itself. What do you think? Is there a multi-million-dollar fortune waiting to be discovered? Or is it all just a masterfully crafted story? Let me know your theories in the comments. Thanks for watching, and if you love diving into historical mysteries like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.